Welcome to Buying Local.
Thanks for having me.
You are very welcome. For those who don't know, I'm Mike Nelson from 5 Towers Media, and I'm joined today by Annie Newman. And Annie, you know what's funny is I think of you as the hydrogen water person.
I'm the hydrogen water girl.
Yeah, right. And I don't know what you actually do. I know that you actually have like a 9-to-5 job. So
Yep.
Just why don't we start out? Just tell people who you are and what you do and a little bit about yourself.
I mean, I'm Annie.
Sweet.
I've worked in kind of retail management. Now I'm on the supply chain side, basically since before getting out of college. Thought that I was going to go do something with my psychology degree and then got sucked into retail.
Okay.
So now I'm in supply chain, working as a production controller. So it's not quite 9 to 5, have some kind of wild hours. Very early in the morning, stay pretty late, but have weekends off. And then outside of like the work side and everything, clearly into the hydrogen water now, but just being active, outdoors, wellness, and everything like that. So
very cool. So let me adjust my microphone here. So we met because of the Tansies.
Because of the Tansies.
I mean, everything circles back to the Tansies in some way, shape, or form. With Katie started Savage Sunday.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And now I think if I remember correctly, you guys didn't know each other.
No, we didn't know each other until essentially that Savage Sunday. We had connected on Instagram, which this hydrogen water essentially got me connected to Katie, which is awesome. When she posted on the Toughest Mile, Eric, I think his last name is Heineman or something like that. Yeah. He had posted the Toughest Mile and like what city to go to and everything. And she posted Saratoga Springs. And I saw that, and I was typically not that person on social media that would like engage with other people, but I saw Saratoga Springs and I commented back to her and said like, oh, I second that. And her and I became connected on Instagram, and then she invited me to the very first Savage Sunday, and we kind of have done Savage Sunday ever since. So like Katie's super awesome person, very inspiring too.
And which one was the toughest mile? Was that the? I'm sure
you had to do the. What did it start with? Shoot.
Was it the burpee jump one?
Yeah, it was the burpee broad jump, the lunges. I think that was the burpee broad jump. Then you had to do the bear crawl.
Yes.
And then the lunges and then run. And I think it's the bear crawl, either that or doing the broad jump of the burpees that got like everybody. I feel like everybody's like shins hurt, which is not what you were expecting. Like,
no.
When do your shins hurt?
Yeah, I do remember the bear crawls were just atrocious.
They were. On
that workout.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I did the first one because she did it twice. Right?
I think the very first one was the farmer's carry, potentially.
Oh, maybe
was that the very first one? I think you were at the very first one.
I did the farmer carry one.
Yeah.
Did we do the farmer carry one twice?
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I suffered through the first one. It took.
Well, you're doing all these without like shoes on and everything too.
True.
Like you're a tank with them.
I do like the barefoot. But that one, for people listening, so you had the farmer carry workout was you had to carry. Did you have to do? You had to do
1,600 meters.
Yeah, so basically a mile of a farmer's carry. So we were at the Schuylerville school where the track was, and we were. So you had to pick up your weights, whatever you're using, and you had to walk, basically do a mile, so 4 laps. But every time you put it down, you had to run a lap.
Yep.
But we added burpees.
We added in. Let's do 5 burpees before you start picking them up again. Like that was a fun idea.
Because it wasn't hard enough already. And I remember I did 16 laps.
Yeah.
That's how long it took me. So it ended up being like between, it was 5 miles that I ended up traveling between the 1 mile for the carries and the freaking 16 laps that I did. That was atrocious.
I don't ever want to do. I mean, we did it twice. I said I wasn't going to do it again, but we did it twice. And then I think she had it a third time, but you had options to do something else. And I did whatever the other thing was. I'm like, I did this enough. The first time I did it with dumbbells. Yeah. Second time I did it with kettlebells.
Yeah, the first time I did it with dumbbells.
Yep.
That was a terrible idea.
Yep.
And then the second time I did it with plates, but they were like handled plates, and that was way better. It only took me 4 laps or 6 laps or something like that.
I think the second time we had somebody with like massive water jugs. They were walking with the water jugs the second time. I don't know who it was.
I don't know that guy. I remember that guy. But I want to say that Bill was telling me that he's a triathlete and that he's like a nasty triathlete though. And like puts up some pretty good times on the triathlon. But those water jugs, that was nasty.
It was wild.
It didn't look like any fun because those handles on those water jugs have that seam that just cuts into your hand as you're carrying them. Like, it's terrible.
But you would think like the little finger holes would maybe help you, but no.
Yeah, no, not happening. I do really enjoy the Savage Sunday though.
Yeah.
I mean, those are
I'm ready
workouts.
for the weather to be nice to
Oh my God, are you kidding
start
me?
it up again because it's nice doing it outside.
Yeah. I mean, you saw the driveway when you pulled in, like. And
It's all a hot mess
and I've
around
seen
here.
your walkway on Instagram, and it is all a hot mess.
Yeah.
And snow just makes everything. I was thinking when you were coming over, I was like, oh, maybe I'll take her out, and because I know you like goats. Yeah. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll take her out so she can see the goat. It's such a mess out there, though. Like everything's so slow. So I'm like, all right, we'll have to have you guys back. And I do, actually in the spring. And Katie and I, because we have like trails back there.
Yeah.
And so I keep saying to Katie, I'm like, we gotta do a Savage Sunday and come to the farm, and we'll do trail runs.
That'd be fun.
And whatever else she comes up with.
Throw some hay or something.
Gotta huck some hay bales. That's
there you
what
go.
I'll get everybody doing. Help me with chores and then run.
You could totally make it work for your
I
benefit.
think so.
I think it'd be fun.
Right?
Yeah.
We'll do a log carry or something. Goggins style. So that's how we met, was Savage Sunday, which is great. And anybody listening, Savage Sunday is open to pretty much anyone that wants to go.
Yep.
Unless you're not a nice person, then we'd rather you stayed home. But I'm sure she's going to start that back up because that was great fun.
Yeah.
That was great fun.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout. And I'm trying to think of what Katie's Instagram handle is.
Oh, God.
I don't know. Just check out.
Tan something with
Kate
tans.
Tans or something with Tans. What a cool last name. So I also feel like I remember that you're not from the area.
Nope. I grew up down kind of closer to New Paltz.
Okay.
So in between New Paltz and Kingston, that's where I grew up. Pretty much stayed there. I went away for school for a year up in Vermont, but then I just went back home and commuted to SUNY New Paltz. So that's where I got my psychology degree from. So
nice.
Very cool area, just not a lot as far as like jobs wise. So that's why I ended up moving from the area, but New Paltz is a beautiful area. Love it down there.
What so did you come up here because of the job?
Because of work. Yep. I eventually got promoted up this way. I had worked in like a few different areas, but always was commuting like an hour and a half or so. And then not with the current company that I'm with, but I worked for American Eagle and Aerie for a while as a store manager. And that's where I got promoted to the Crossgate store. So that's how I found myself up this way. Had an apartment for a little bit, and then eventually bought my house up in Glens Falls when, prices were semi-right during COVID.
Yeah.
little less expensive than down closer to like
semi-right. That's a good way to say
there.
that.
Yeah.
So are you still working in Albany?
Nope, I'm in Wilton now.
Oh, you're in Wilton. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you said that. I'm like, wow, you really like a commute, don't you?
No. Now I'm 15 minutes from work.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. That, an hour and a half commute sounds like a terrible thing.
Terrible. And I don't know how I did it back when I was like in my 20s when I had a Subaru for a bit, so I was able to get through some of the ice and snow, but I was doing some wild drives when I was doing that for a bit. So now a 15-minute commute, super nice. Still hate driving in the snow, but Yeah,
that's no fun.
Yeah.
I on our other podcast, Blue Collar Startup, I was talking to a guy that works in Albany, but he lives an hour and a half away, and he does that every day, Monday through Friday, hour and a half to work, hour and a half. I'm like 3 hours
It's
of your
wild.
day.
Just sitting in the car.
Yikes.
I mean, you can listen to fun podcasts like
That's
this,
true.
but,
That's what I said to him. I'm like, so you listen to podcasts in the car? He's like, yeah, listen to this one, of course. I'm like, all right, good man. Appreciate that. And I would be remiss if I didn't show the camera the hydrogen water that Annie brought me, that we're going to talk about hydrogen water. Oh, I got to get over here. The hydrogen water that Annie brought, and we're going to talk about what hydrogen water is, because I'm sure not a lot of people know, because it's still pretty
pretty new.
Newer thing to the market. And some of the cool things behind that. So before we start talking about what hydrogen water is, how did you get into this whole hydrogen water gig?
I mean, full transparency, initially it was just kind of to try and make money. To try and make money on the side. Okay. I found something that I didn't want to be like one of those people trying to sell like a ton of protein shakes that I maybe don't like, or a ton of supplements and everything. And I stumbled upon the water. I didn't really know anything about like hydrogen water. I can also change the pH of my water, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like something that I would kind of resonate with a little bit more. Yeah. And I then became a little bit curious of the water. So it was more so the business opportunity that like interested me initially. And it's a kind of social media thing that you're seeing all the time now, kind of that social media marketing and everything. So I've had a social media journey over the past like year and a half and everything, which I've kind of been a little bit more quiet about the business aspect because I really kind of just fell in love with the hydrogen water aspect. And that's something that I feel like there wasn't as much training that I got on. So I kind of started my like self-exploration journey of like what hydrogen water is, like what are the benefits and everything. How does my water ionizer that I have even work? So it was kind of the business opportunity of being able to be a distributor for high-end water products.
Okay. Which I feel like people are paying a lot closer attention to their water and what's in it and what's going on with it. And when you find out about pH of water and the difference that makes depending on what the pH is, and because you want more alkaline water, right? Is that correct?
You want more alkaline. Yeah. Obviously, I've discovered recently that from the therapeutic benefits side, like it's really the hydrogen in there. So there's some misconceptions of like whether it's pH or is it the hydrogen that's giving you the therapeutic benefits essentially. But I think water has become such a big hot topic, especially over the past just like, I want to say 2 years.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I feel like a lot of these things that are food chain driven, whether it's the type of food you're eating, how processed it is, where it came from, how it was raised, if it's livestock, what it was, how it was grown, if it's not, and what chemicals, like everyone's becoming so much more conscious and rightfully so. And water, it has come right along with it. I'm trying to think of where, because it was funny because I remember showing up to Savage Sunday and here comes this girl with these bags of water. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And then
I'm just going to carry them for fun.
Just for fun, right?
They're going to be part of the workout.
And then I don't know if it was Zabala or somebody else. I was like, hey, is it that hydrogen water? Because they knew that you were into that stuff. And I was like, oh. But I had actually like maybe I want to say just a couple weeks, maybe a month before that experience, I had just really gotten exposed to like Gary Brecka and that bottle that he sells, and then and not like with anything that I get into or I get interested in, I started just going down the rabbit hole, right? So I started with Gary Brecka, and then I want to say I can't remember. I've listened to a bunch of different podcasts. And one of the podcasts that I cannot remember the name of, but if I figure out what it was, I'll have Taylor put it in the show notes. But they had a guy on that was talking about hydrogen water and the benefits and what it does. And he was talking about how important it was to have medical grade hydrogen water. And that the Gary Brecka bottles, and sorry, Gary Brecka, not that you're ever going to hear my podcast, and I am a huge Brecka fan. I love his podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I love the stuff that he puts out there. But they're saying those bottles are crap. They don't really do anything. And on top of that, they're full of PFAS because of the plastic that they're made with and coming out of China and the practices they have for making them and blah, blah, blah. But he went down. So it was literally it was so funny because I'm listening to this and I'm listening to the podcast and I think I'm on Amazon or somewhere like looking at hydrogen bottles and getting ready to pull the trigger on a $70 water bottle that all of a sudden this guy's like, yeah, don't buy those. And I was like, well, what? Like save me $70. But I'm still not drinking hydrogen water. Well, I'm going to be shortly. But so there's all the stuff out there, right? The bottles. And so can you, well, I guess before, and maybe I got a little ahead of my skis here, but before we start talking about like the type of hydrogen water that's out there and I don't know, say the machine, that you have that creates your hydrogen water or hydrogenates the water, I guess would be the term. I don't know. What are the things, or what are some of the things? And obviously, folks listening, we are not doctors or I'm not a doctor or scientist. Are you okay?
No,
all right.
No.
So please take this with, I don't want to say a grain of salt, but take it with for what it's worth. Is that it's two people that are not doctors or scientists talking about hydrogen water. So, can you give us the rundown? Like, what are the benefits of drinking hydrogen water versus, and I don't want to say tap water because tap water is pretty evil. Yeah, at this point, right? What are some of the benefits of drinking hydrogen water in general?
I mean, what hydrogen water is essentially water with molecular hydrogen dissolved into it. So if you're thinking like salt dissolved into water, it's molecular hydrogen. So hydrogen gas dissolved into the water. And with the hydrogen molecule, I mean, that's like the smallest, most bioavailable molecule. So what it does is essentially like it helps with like it's anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and everything. It's much more powerful than just drinking green tea. Eating a ton of blueberries and everything.
From an antioxidant standpoint?
From an antioxidant standpoint, yep. And then just the anti-inflammatory, so it helps with everything like that. And then with it being so small, it can permeate like the mitochondria of cells, so like really help with like cell restoration and everything. So there's basically like any system in the body that you can think of, it has a benefit for because that hydrogen is getting into like every single system in the body, essentially.
It's interesting that you bring up mitochondria too, because that's another thing that's really been getting crazy. And I say it's not that we've just heard of mitochondria. I mean, everybody that took like 6th grade biology knows what mitochondria is, but
it's the powerhouse of the cell. I was literally talking with my trainer this morning, and we're talking about mitochondria, and he's like, the powerhouse of the cell. I'm like, everybody wins that.
Everybody does, but it's so much more than that. So, and that's I think a lot of the newer science, let's say, is coming out that mitochondria do so much for your body. It's not just the powerhouse of the cell. But also, what there's a lot of discussion about, and I don't know if you read Casey Means' book, Good Energy. Great book. Do you know who Casey and Callie Means are?
To be honest, no.
That's okay. No. So check them out, though. You'll really dig them. To give you the quick rundown, Callie was a lobbyist, and Casey was a Stanford-educated doctor. I want to say that she was an ear, nose, and throat specialist, but I could be getting that wrong. But I'm pretty sure that's how she started her journey, if I'm remembering the book correctly. But long story short, the two of them have really been at the forefront of like a lot of the things that RFK Jr. is leading right now, as far as our food, the quality of the food, what's in the food, what we're eating, why, the things that we're eating that are making us sick as people. They're very much behind that. And so Casey wrote a book called Good Energy. And I did the audio book, although I do have the physical copy. And she talks a lot about how everything, like how you feel as a human, your energy levels, everything starts with your mitochondria. And that if you have healthy mitochondria, then you have healthy cells. And if you have healthy cells, then you have healthy tissues and organs. And if you have healthy tissues and organs, then you are healthy. But it talks all about energy, and that's why it's called Good Energy. Because she's like, certain foods give you good energy. Or I shouldn't say limited to food. The things that you ingest, or even the things that you put on your skin from a lotion or makeup or whatever, that if it's good stuff, it's going to give you good energy. And if it's not, it's going to give you bad energy, and you're going to get sick. So it's fascinating stuff, to not go off on too much of a tangent about it, but really talking about the mitochondria and getting down to it. And that's where the hydrogen water ties in, right? Is how much it's doing for your mitochondria as well as every other system in your body. But
it's hydrating at like that cellular level.
Yeah. It's not just and to be fair, like a lot of the water that's out there is junk. Yeah.
Well, that's where like I got so excited once I like started. It took maybe a month or so of me actually consistently drinking it to start feeling like it was doing something for me.
Have you felt something?
Yeah. 1000%. My coworkers will make fun of me essentially because I will come with, now I bring that big bag of water because I just want more of it throughout the day. But I bring the big bag of water to work and they're like, oh, that's your bougie water.
Your bougie.
Your bougie water. Can't have the peasant water out of the water cooler that we have at work. But for me, like, my gut health significantly improved within the first probably 2 months of consistently drinking it. So like I used to wake up with severe like stomach cramps and everything all the time. And I've tried all sorts of different diets. I mean, probably even since we've been connected, I don't know if I was like vegetarian at one point or not, but I was vegetarian. I've tried like a ton of different diets. But no matter like what I was eating, I was waking up with bad stomach cramps. Now I couldn't tell you the last time that I woke up with a bad stomach cramp. I also, like, before I got the hydrogen water, was bringing about a gallon of water to work every day. And still not feeling hydrated. And then I was getting headaches a lot of the time too. And then ever since then, like, I've maybe gotten like 3 headaches like that.
Were you drinking Glens Falls tap water?
Partly Glens Falls tap water, yes. Which I don't have it memorized or anything, but like you can research what's in your tap water very easily, and it's terrible. Glens Falls tap water, but
and nothing against the folks at the DSPW in Glens Falls, and we just had the mayor on the podcast the other day. So no offense to anyone in Glens Falls, it's just the nature of the water. I lived in Glens Falls for like 20 years.
Any tap water is really good.
Yeah, the tap water in Glens Falls I was never a fan of. And we're on well water now, which is, and you know what's really funny? So you're supposed to, water treatment systems for wells, they have the whole thing where it's going through sand, it's doing all the stuff, and then they have your chloride, the chloride tank, or whatever you want to call it, where you basically put bleach in your freaking water. I haven't done it in like 2 years. I'm like, I refuse to put bleach in my water. I'm like, if I'm going to get sick, then I'm going to get sick, and then I'll deal with that situation. I have never gotten sick from drinking our water. But the idea of putting bleach in my water I think is silly.
Yeah.
It's absolutely 100%. Silly. So, and by the way, speaking of what's in our water, I was really psyched when you handed this to me and it was glass.
And it was glass.
Yes.
Well, there's a few things behind that, but.
All right. Well, tell me what are the things? And just the reason for those of you, for me anyway, glass being better is because of all the microplastics that we're ingesting, and that when you're drinking plastic bottled water, you are drinking plastic. It's in your water, no matter what it is. What kind of water it is, whether it was distilled or purified or whatever, like you're drinking plastic. So food for thought, everybody. So tell me about the bottle then.
Well, one, the microplastics, obviously, you hit on that. I mean, I think everybody knows that. I mean, clearly Savage Sunday, I brought it in bags just because that's the easiest, but it's really the hydrogen water you want to store in glass or aluminum. And that's part of what makes it actually very challenging to like try and, I don't want to say mass produce, but like get it on the shelves. It has a shelf life. So with that hydrogen being the smallest molecule, it'll get out of plastic very quickly. So it won't necessarily be as concentrated. So keeping it in the glass or aluminum, that's actually, I originally put it for you in a mason jar. But like it looks like you can, when you first put the water in there, you can see the hydrogen like dissolving into it and everything. So obviously you can't really see it now. But
I was always wondering if that was for effect.
No, I actually took a video of it. I'll show you.
Okay, cool. Well, because like the Brecka bottles, like you push the button, you see all the bubbles.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I think that's theater.
We're gonna show it to you now. Okay. Yeah. As I was putting the water in there, so this is like right after I filled up the bottle, so you can see how like it's gonna be cloudy when you first put it in there. So people think that that's like dirty water or there's like some kind of like minerals and stuff in there, but
it's, you guys can't see this video, but it's and if you can't actually send me the video and I'll have Taylor add this to it, but it kind of just looks like if you put an Alka-Seltzer tab in the water almost, right? It gets a little cloudy, get some bubbles, and and those bubbles are from the hydrogen.
That's the hydrogen. It's dissolving into the water.
That's cool.
It's really cool. And that's, I mean, there's other ways that you can produce the hydrogen water. So like they have the tablets, and the tablets are made out of, they're essentially like magnesium tablets, but metallic. So like you can't just go to the store and supplement with magnesium. It's a magnesium tablet that then helps produce the hydrogen in the water. But
interesting. So they drop a magnesium tablet into the water, and the reaction of the water and the magnesium tablet releases hydrogen into the water.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but it's not as like strong and as effective as actually having an ionizer or even one of those water bottles.
Yeah. Well, that's I mean, again, that guy on the podcast, and I wish I had that. I should have gotten that information out before we started the show. But he had said, he's like, if you're not doing medical grade hydrogen for your water, then you probably shouldn't be doing anything because it's not really doing much for you. And I think I think you put up, was it you put up? And I asked you about this was, someone did a video, like a reel on must have been Instagram or maybe it was TikTok, but, where they were showing, like they were doing a test of a water test of the hydrogen content of the water. And they did like a couple different bottles. I think they did like tap water, they did like bottled water, then they did like a Brecka bottle, and then they did like hydrogen grade. And it was like, and the difference was substantial. Like most of them had none. The Brecka bottle had a little bit, and then the machine driven water, created water was like super hydrogen.
Yep. So that was probably Ben Landry, I think, might have been the one on Instagram who does like a lot of those videos of comparing even like the pH and everything. But he was probably doing the ORP meter. So that's like the oxidation reduction potential of the water. Which doesn't necessarily, from what I've learned at least, it doesn't necessarily mean like the amount of hydrogen that's in there, but the amount that the water like has the potential to reduce oxidative stress essentially. So, but I think it's Ben Landry is the one who does a lot of those on Instagram with the medical grade.
Yeah,
water.
Showing the differences and stuff. Yeah. Does it taste different?
I mean, I might be pretty biased now at this point. I've been drinking it for about a year now. But some people, I think even somebody from the Savage Sunday, I was dropping it off at Katie's for them to try, and they say, like, it feels fresher. They feel more hydrated and everything throughout. I mean, you can go ahead and take a sip if you want. I don't know. I'm probably a biased opinion now at this point. But to me, it tastes better. It always have.
Mental gum in my mouth.
It's like it's water, you know.
It tastes like water. Yeah, I'm not noticing. Yeah.
You probably drink semi-decent water at least. Like
I like our water.
You're not Glens Falls tap water.
Sorry,
Glens Falls. Well, that's even my parents' tap water, where like where I grew up. Like it has a lot of sulfur in it, so they don't drink it.
Yeah.
So like you can smell and essentially taste it. But I loved that tap water, the taste of it at least growing up. So.
Well, we're on a well, and the water here is pretty hard. So like if it didn't go through and all it is just basically a sand filter it's going through it, and if it didn't, and then I should actually say there is a filter in the fridge for that water that comes out of there, which that's what I drink most of the time. But sometimes I just throw some water from the tap, and I do like our water here now that we stopped bleaching it. But when I was bleaching it before, like you
can taste the bleach.
Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah,
like disgusting.
Yeah.
This is not disgusting. This is good. This has no bleach even. Now, was this Glens Falls water before you put it through your machine?
Oh, it sure was.
It sure was. Wow, Glens Falls. You should take note. This really changes the flavor profile of the water from your tap water over there.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that's what's so convenient about it, too, is with at least like those water bottles and everything that you can produce the hydrogen water with, you have to put like pure filtered water in there already. And what are you gonna? Where are you gonna go and get that? Are you gonna have a filter in your fridge and have to do it that way, or are you gonna just go to a store and buy a plastic water bottle? Which are you really saving any kind of money for the health benefit? But like this, it has a filter on it to filter out some of the like the chlorine and things like that. You can get another pre-filter if you want to get the like fluoride and stuff out too. That's a big hot topic now.
Yeah, it is.
So you can get a pre-filter. Sorry, I don't have the pre-filter, so there might be a little bit of that in there, but it filters out the chlorine and everything. But it doesn't, in comparison to like reverse osmosis water.
Yep.
You still have the minerals like that are good for you and everything. So, and it just goes straight through the filter into the ionizer and then produces the hydrogen. I can change the pH and everything, so I can have anywhere from 2.5 pH, which obviously isn't really going to have hydrogen in it. It's more so that 9.5 pH, which is what this is with the hydrogen, but I can do anywhere from 2.5 to 11.5 pH with the ionizer too. So it's not just for producing hydrogen water to drink, but there's a plethora of things that you can then do with all the different pH waters too.
Yeah. Do you play around with that as far as the pH waters?
A little bit. As far as I used to never be that person that really cared about cleaning my veggies. I'm like, whatever, it's all dirt. That's fine. I'll eat it. But if you soak your fruits and veggies in the 11.5 pH, it is actually wild, like how dirty it is. And all you have to do is let it sit and soak there for like 10 minutes. It gets the herbicides and pesticides off. So it kind of acts as like an emulsifier and like takes things off.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So I've done that. And then
what does the water look like after you pull the veggies out?
It's disgusting. It's like, what was actually a little bit wild too, at least when I did strawberries, it came out a little bit red too. Like, so it took like some of the color off and everything, but like, it's real dirty.
I recently saw a thing on strawberries that they went and pressed. I forget what the amount of strawberries was, but it wasn't like tons of strawberries. It was like a few pounds of strawberries. And they said that the amount of pesticides and chemicals that came off those strawberries was enough to like reapply to another crop. Like wild. And
you don't clean your veggies or whatever, and you're eating that.
No, I mean, first of all, to be fair, I don't eat really many veggies, which my mom.
I don't that much either. No, fruits still. I do fruits, but veggies I don't do that much anymore.
Yeah,
the only veggies I really do are pickles.
Pickles.
Yeah.
Wow. Pickled everything. It's really funny too. Katie Tansy. It's so funny because you
can call her Tansy. I know.
But I also call Bill Tansy. So it's like, which Tansy we're talking about. But K-Tans was, I forget what she put up. She put something about tomatoes. And I was like, tomatoes are a nightshade and they are pure poison. And she's like, I'm not giving up my tomatoes. But yeah, I don't eat like almost any vegetables. And again, I do on occasion. But like I stay away from them as a general rule because this is going to sound a little weird, everybody. Don't call me crazy, but like a lot of vegetables aren't that great for you if you eat them all the time. Like tomatoes are nightshades. Like it's a poison, like slowly having negative effects to your body. So I eat probably 90% meat at this point. And with a little, and I do love an apple and I do love a pear, which we grow here. Which is nice. But the amount of chemicals that are put on all those foods is insane. And the organic stuff isn't any better, guys. Do your homework. Do some research on what they're putting on your organic raspberries. Like you see that whole setup. So it's nuts to me. But anyway, I'm like on a complete war against how food gets farmed right now. Like it's insane of how bad it is for us.
Yeah. I mean, that's something I've gotten more into too, even since since getting into the hydrogen water and like, I never thought about what water I was putting into my body for the longest time until like the past like year and a half or so. And then that trickled down to like what kinds of foods am I putting in my body now? Like I know you had Marsh on here. And that's one of my favorite places to go. Like I'm trying to shop more local and like get more fresh foods like the raw milk and everything like that. And the farming industry is wild.
Wild. Yeah. Absolutely wild of how
challenging it is for them too, and it's good food without all of the like junk added on or to it.
That's probably my biggest crusade right now in the farming industry is working to, and this is just one segment, but like right now, so like obviously we raise livestock here, and so pigs that I'm raising right now, I buy a piglet for $125. And I'm going to feed that pig for roughly 6 to 10 months, depending what type of pig it is. Okay. And so at the end of the day, you figure I'm going to have $1 per pound on the price to get the piglet. And then I'm going to have $2 per pound, roughly, maybe 3 or 4, depending on what I'm feeding it. Am I feeding it organic? Am I not feeding it organic? So all that plays as far as the price goes. But then when you then take that animal to a processor to have it processed, the cost of that is 30 to 40% of what I'm going to charge for that animal is in the processing. And so like when you look at the challenges that farmers are facing, and this is my big crusade right now, is there's so few options on the processing side. And because of the regulations and the laws, it's a very high barrier to entry in order to get into those professions. During COVID, we saw all these things happen where places couldn't process meat. So, and I'm sorry, you said you're a vegetarian?
No, I'm not. No, okay. Not at all.
All right, all of a sudden I'm like, well, shit.
No, I eat beef almost every single day now.
All right. Like all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I'm probably horrified.
Oh, no, not at all.
So like, but there's like 70 in New York State that can be used. We need 1,000 in order to feed the people at an affordable rate. So my big crusade right now anyway is trying to change the rules and regulations for that to loosen the laws so that we can open up competition and get more people into the industry and that's just one segment of farming.
Yep.
You look at Willmarsh, what they go through. I don't know if we literally their latest episode. So today, what is today? Today is the 25th, 26th?
Something like that. 25th.
25th. So we just today, our podcast came out for Willmarsh again, second time we've interviewed them, and just talking about what they went through with a recent listeria scare where they had to stop serving milk. Craziest thing. But their whole set of challenges that they go through as a raw milk provider, which, again, we could do a whole podcast just talking about that. And I don't want to, detract from hydrogen water, but the short of it is that they have significant challenges as a small dairy in New York State or in the country alone, producing raw milk, which is, I think at this point, it's a known fact that it's better for you than pasteurized milk. Nothing against those folks doing the traditional dairy and pasteurizing their milk, but crazy. Yeah. Super huge challenges those guys go through. And they work 7 days a week, 365 days a year, up early, working late. It's crazy. So,
well, there's even a book I got into. I'm not very far in it, so I don't have any of the real details that you may or may not have. I think it's called Everything I Want to Do is Illegal. And that's about essentially the farming industry.
That's by Joe Salatin.
I think so.
Yeah. Salatin's he is the celebrity in the homesteading and small farming industry. Everybody knows, if you're a small farmer or homesteader, you know who Joe Salatin is, because he's the guy that has spent the last, I think, 40 years basically dealing with the government constantly trying to stop him from doing what he's doing, which is raising chickens, raising animals, farming, providing food to people. Salatin's, he's great. He actually, there's a, if you're familiar with, are you familiar with the Angel Network?
I feel like I've heard the name, but
so it's a Christian. I'm going to screw this up, but it's a Christian network or a Christian organization that did. I forget. They became famous, in my understanding, or at least I became aware of them because they crowdfunded a movie. And they were able to produce this movie based on crowdfunding. And it was kind of one of the first times that something like that had been done. And it was a huge success. They made a ton of money. They did really well with it. And then they branched out in other things. They recently had a movie called Homestead that was actually out in theaters. And then it's turned into a series. But I bring them up because they also did a documentary on Joe Salatin and called it's The Insane Farmer, but that's not it. It's something along those lines. And just talking about his story about what he went through with everything he was trying to do was illegal. He wanted to raise chickens to sell to his customers. And there's all these rules and regulations that make no sense. And that's the point, with all of the livestock processing and really raising from farrow to finish is what they call them, pigs. And from having pigs on your property to raising those pigs to then being able to sell them to people for food, the regulations, so many of them make zero sense. They are old solutions to problems that don't even exist anymore. Our hygiene situation and cleanliness situation has changed so much in this country since those laws were enacted. Some of them were in the early 1900s, 1906, and then other ones were 1967, 1970. All these rules that just. We don't have those issues anymore. It's crazy. Anyway, keep here talking about that. We're talking about hydrogen water.
But yeah, I mean, the hydrogen water has been kind of the start of me being much, much more conscious of what I'm putting in my body. And I think that's a great place to start is at water, considering, your body is 70% water. Yeah. So you want to have the right stuff in your body for that.
You should be drinking it roughly a gallon a day.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, depending on your personal physiology, but
yeah.
Crazy. So tell me about how the machine works. So do you just hook it up to your tap and turn the tap on and it fills the tank, or what does that look like?
So, there's a few different ways you can get it set up. How I have it set up, I had the little soap dispenser that I was able to put one of those little tiny faucets and then just hook the hose for the water to go into the machine. onto there, but you can also hook that hose up.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. You can also hook that hose up like directly to your tap. They have a few different like converters and everything for your like actual like faucet there that you then just, when you're going to use the machine rather than your actual faucet, you just flip a switch and then it'll go through the machine. But I have mine up to my soap dispenser and everything. And my particular machine, since I can do the 2 different pHs and how the electrolysis process works, has 2 different hoses. So one goes kind of like into my sink and the other I primarily use. So it's about probably the like size of like your MacBook there.
Okay.
And then like a little bit wider. Yeah. Oh. So it'll be a little bit wider. So it sits like right on your tabletop, your counter there. Some people put it below, but if you're going to change the pH, it has like an electronic screen there. Yeah. So if you're going to change your pH, like you're better off just putting it right on the top of your counter. But then the water runs through that. And then if you think of like a 9-volt battery in there, so it's essentially deconstructing the water. So at the anode, you're getting, which is the like positive part of the battery. Mine is hooked up to like the actual electric and everything. But if you're thinking of the 9-volt battery at the anode there, the positive, you're getting more of the oxygen gas produced and how it's deconstructing the water molecule essentially. And then at the cathode there, the negative, you're getting the hydrogen ion or the hydrogen molecule, which is then getting you that hydrogen water essentially.
So how does it, where does it pull the hydrogen from, I guess? Is it like a cartridge?
No, it like deconstructs the actual water, the water molecule there.
And then it reuses the hydrogen that's already in the water?
Yep.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So the hydrogen's already there.
So since you're on like the negative there, it's adding, if you're thinking of water as like the 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen, it's deconstructing that into one of the hydrogen molecules there. It's adding another electron to make it that molecular hydrogen, that hydrogen gas.
That's so weird.
And that's what was so like, that's why I kind of stopped talking about it for a while, because I'm like, I gotta understand this. Like, how does it actually work? And when I actually just fairly recently finished molecular hydrogen advisor certificate.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so this is newer too, because they have 4 levels of that, and they only so far came up with the first level of the certification and the other 4
to educate people on how it all works.
Yeah. So it's through the Molecular Hydrogen Institute. So it's a whole institute and everything now. But I was like, I don't understand how is this working?
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge science whiz. It took me back.
I am not a molecular biologist.
Yeah. We were going back to like periodic table, like polar covalent bonds, everything like that, just to try and understand.
Oh my God, covalent bonds.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I haven't done this since.
Yeah,
what grade did you do chemistry in?
I don't know.
Like 10th.
I took it in college, but I was like my Chem 101 and biochem. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the electricity essentially like breaks the molecule apart. It deconstructs the molecule and creates hydrogen gas.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. Like, I'm like, are they able to pull it from the air? Like, how does that even work?
Yep. But it goes, so the water passes through, at least on my ionizer, 8 titanium plates that are coated in medical grade platinum. So with that helps like with the conduction of the electricity and everything in order to break apart the water molecule. But it's very like, that's how this is medical grade. So a lot of them, like the water bottles, and I don't know the exact like metals or anything, but they're not very good. the what it passes through, the metal that it passes through, because it's gonna like corrode and everything. So if you're thinking of like a lightning bolt striking water and there's some kind of metal in it, that's going to kind of break apart in that process. So that's like over time, like longevity wise, like those water bottles, they'll produce hydrogen water for you, but like you're also potentially poisoning like the water with other things.
What else are you putting in there? Well, and that was one of the things I read about the Brecka bottles was because the plastics, it's number one, it's plastic, and because of how it's made, where it's made, the PFAS, which is a forever chemical, ends up breaking down through that process and gets into your water. So yeah, you're getting more hydrogen, but you're also getting forever chemicals. And who the hell wants that?
Yeah.
Not that we don't have it everywhere and everything else that we're doing, but that's crazy.
Yeah. So the titanium and the platinum are like very resistant of like corrosion and everything. So
wild.
Yeah.
So a machine the size of my laptop.
It's a little bit bigger than the laptop. Like it's a little wider.
Yeah,
but
it's not like...
It sits nicely on my countertop.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Is it like, what is that, air fryer?
Oh, it's smaller than an air fryer.
It's smaller than an air fryer.
Yeah, if you think of like, not a toaster oven, but like an actual toaster.
Okay.
Yeah, about that size. A little taller though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's not bad.
I had to put like little plants around it to make it look a little nicer for me, the aesthetic of it.
You can't have bougie water without it in a bougie setting. So.
Exactly.
Oh, man. And now you said earlier about they're not able to mass produce this. So it's not like something that you're going to be able to buy at the grocery store. What do you know why that is?
It won't stay. So it has a shelf life of like 2 days. Not even 2 days, realistically. Like you got maybe a day. So this isn't going to have the hydrogen that, at least not to the level of that you'll get the therapeutic effects of it. So you need at least 0.5 milligrams, I believe it is, of the hydrogen in order to even, like they say that's the minimum to actually like get the therapeutic benefits of the hydrogen.
So I think now that you say that out loud, I remember hearing that about the Brecka bottles is that you're just not getting enough hydrogen. And a guy I know, Ryan, I won't say his last name. I won't say your last name, Ryan. He bought one of the Brecka bottles. It might not have been one of the Brecka ones, but it was one of the hydrogen bottles that you can buy off Amazon for like $70. And he was drinking it for like a month. I was like, you feel anything? He's like, I don't know, man. He's like, but he's like, I'm also doing so many different tweaks to my diet right now that I have no idea what's working, what's not working. So, which that checks out. Yeah. It's hard to know when you're changing what's working, what's not working. But
well, another thing that I even noticed after having the water is I don't get sore a lot from workouts. Like here and there, if I do something wild, like, I'm going to get sore. Anybody would get sore if you do something like very out of the ordinary, but I don't get as like very sore. So like just helping with like even like the muscle recovery and things like that too, just from like the inflammation standpoint and like the delayed onset muscle soreness, like it helps with all of that kind of stuff too. But I didn't even think of that for the longest time. I'm like, I know I'm going pretty hard at the workouts. Why do I not feel it? Because sometimes I like that soreness, but I don't often. Like I have a little bit more as of lately just because of what I've been doing, but like I don't get very sore.
What have you been doing?
I do a few different trainings now. So I got more into some traditional strength training now, and I pair that with my metabolic training. But my friend actually opened up a gym back in, I want to say he opened around October down in the Malta area, the Armory, strength and conditioning. And he's actually somebody that I ended up meeting through Instagram and everything too. So what has been very cool about this like business opportunity is it became like so much more where I don't want to say I don't really care about the business aspect of it. Like it'd be great to like continue to make money off of that, but like I don't really care as much because it's the health benefits of the water and the connections that I've been able to make. I wouldn't have known Katie. And then even meeting Brennan, he's the owner of the Armory down there. I connected with him just like because I saw he posted on, I think it was Glens Falls Community Helps that he was opening a gym. I'm like, oh, this is a great connection with the water and everything. So like that aspect of it, and I go bring down 4 bags of the water to his adult class every Sunday and everything. Fun. So yeah, but just very cool.
Yeah.
The connections that I'm able to make just through the water. Yeah.
Well, that's how we end up sitting here, right? Like, I was like, I want to know what's going on with this water stuff, man. And you said metabolic meltdown?
Metabolic meltdown.
Meltdown?
Yep.
You do the Queensberry one, right?
Queensberry. I started in Saratoga, though.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been going to them, I want to say 3.5, maybe 4 years now. Wow. So I've been doing that for about that amount of time, which is crazy because Katie actually went there, but we never knew each other.
oh yeah, that's right. She actually, was saying that they were going there. Bill was like, yeah, anytime you want to go. Because I guess he does it as well.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I cannot remember what the owner's name. He actually came on our other podcast, Blue Collar Startup, because we were talking about just the importance of health and wellness for entrepreneurs. And
Matt Phelps.
That is Matt Phelps. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Sharp guy. Obviously very fit.
Yeah.
But it seems like they have a really great business.
Yeah.
And I have to assume it's because it's a great product. Like, you don't typically get a great business if you have a shitty product.
Exactly.
So, you like Metabolic Meltdown though?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Because I used to love CrossFit, but
Yep.
there is not a CrossFit within 45 minutes of my house.
Yeah.
So that's tough. And also though, I'm almost 50 years old. So like I'm getting to the point where I kept hurting myself, and Olympic weightlifting when you have shit for mobility is just not a great idea. But
well, that's the gym that I went to just before COVID. They permanently shut down with COVID, and they weren't quite CrossFit, but they were like, they did like the CrossFit watts and everything. They just didn't do all of the like Olympic lifting. Like I didn't have to do a clean and jerk there or anything like that. And then after, like throughout COVID, I was trying to like be able to go to the gym and just lift by myself. I'm like, this is boring. Don't like
it's
this.
super boring. I love group fitness.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, that's why I love Savage Sunday so much. There's nothing quite like suffering with a group of people that is suffering as much as you are, and the commiseration just seems to be really enjoyable for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's always great when the workout's done.
Yeah. But now I'm doing that alongside like the traditional strength training too. So I touched a barbell for the first time in like 2.5, 3 years.
So
when
like,
I started
like benching and squatting,
squatting and everything. Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yep. And he has me do like accessory work and stuff like that too. Then some of the things that I just sprinted like I think we started 3 weeks ago with the new training block. I did sprints for the first time. Couldn't tell you the last time I was told, hey, go sprint 10 meters. So it's fun. It's like, it's motivating.
Yeah. Gets you into a different paradigm. And
yeah.
It's funny. I had a whole Olympic setup out in my garage. I got rid of it all, basically gave it away at a garage sale. And I'm doing, I can't say I'm doing kettlebell training. I'm doing training with kettlebells now. And I say that because I'm sorry, Mike, I'm going to screw your last name up. Mike Kowalski? No, that's the guy from the Monsters Inc. movie.
That's Mike Wazowski.
Maybe it is Kowalski. Kowalski? Shit, sorry, Mike. Mike K. That was on the podcast a few episodes ago. And he does a ton with kettlebells, always has, loves it. But we had this whole conversation. And he was like, I'm like, oh, I'm doing kettlebell training. And he looked at me, he's like, are you doing kettlebell training or are you doing training with kettlebells? And I was like, that's an excellent point, because I'm just doing all the same movements I've always done, but I'm just doing it with kettlebells now instead of doing it with barbells and dumbbells and stuff. But I just find it to be better, and it keeps me from trying to go heavy, which is where I always hurt myself now, is trying to go heavier than I should. And my body just doesn't want to do it anymore. But that's because I'm not drinking hydrogen water.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you won't be sore if you're drinking it.
Man. Yeah, I know. Don't make those claims.
I'm not making those claims at all.
Next thing you know, we're getting sued. You said I wouldn't be sore. Oh, my God. How are we doing on time here? I can't see a single thing. Yes, everyone. I'm putting on my readers. Oh, my God. It's 54 minutes. Okay. I don't want to keep you here all day. So to kind of wrap things up, as far as hydrogen water goes, what do you think, if you were going to try to talk to someone that knows nothing about the water they're drinking, what would be the single most important thing that you'd tell them?
Ooh, the single most important thing.
Yeah, you got to limit it to one. I can only tell you one thing, guys.
Ooh. See, it's so bad. Like, it would depend on their personal, what really they're looking at it for. But I like the anti-inflammatory and antioxidants.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the one. Getting rid of those free radicals in your body.
Yep.
Okay. You heard it here first, folks. Any questions I didn't ask that you hoped I would?
Oh, man.
I know. That's my new favorite question. I stole that from another podcast, everybody.
That's tough.
Not my genius, yeah.
Not that I can think of.
Okay, that's good.
My first podcast. So
I know, that's true.
I didn't know what to expect. So
I know it's. I thought you did great.
It's not as bad as a job interview at all.
No, well, thank you. If it was, I would
It's a lot easier.
need to reconsider my profession, or part of my profession anyway. So how about this? If people want to learn more about you, more about hydrogen water, where do they find you?
As of right now, I'm actually working on a website right now. So
Cool.
I'm going to have my own actual website, hopefully by the end of March, early April, with at least the information on hydrogen water and everything. Because I think that was one of the toughest parts for me, was like just trying to find the information. And I don't want to listen to 10-hour-long podcasts on just hydrogen water. I don't want to do all of that. So I want to make a one-stop shop. So that's my goal for the next month. As of right now, it's just my Instagram. That's social media, anooms403, and really like just having DM me on there.
Cool.
Like I'd rather have just an authentic conversation with people right now until I have that website built up.
Yeah.
So, and then my website will be on my Instagram. There's some information on there, but not necessarily on the actual hydrogen water. It's on more so the pH and all of that of the machine. But really, like I want to hone in on the hydrogen water because that's the biggest piece
That's the magic,
of the ionizer. So anooms403.
Anooms.
I gotta make that a little bit better someday,
I think it's
but all the
great.
good ones are taken. They won't let me do my name.
It's funny because when I saw your Instagram handle, the first thing I thought was because your last name's Newman, they
Yeah.
probably called you Nooms.
They in soccer
I was
and
about to say,
everything.
in,
Yeah,
like, high school
soccer.
or college
That's where it came
sports,
from.
yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? We're just gonna keep it.
Keep rolling with it. Why not?
We like the last name Newman. We'll keep it Nooms. Keep it
Nooms.
simple.
That's great. Well, thank you for coming out to the farm.
No, thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time we'll have you out. We'll get you out there to see the goats.
Love the goats.
I know the goats.
I mean, I'd love seeing the pigs too. So like, I'll see all the farm animals. I'm jealous.
They're all pretty fun. And actually, in probably another month, we'll have baby goats as well as baby sheep. So,
All right, well, invite me out here for that.
Yeah, you come back out. So, thanks again for coming out. Thanks
Thank
for coming
you.
on the show. Appreciate it. Everybody,
Great.
check her out, please. Definitely, and don't just take our word for it. Like, check out the hydrogen water. There's tons of information on the internet that you can find. Although I do not necessarily support the Brecka or the Brecka bottle that he has. Again, and I love Gary Brecka, but he's got some really good podcasts out there though about hydrogen water. And if I can come up with what the other podcasts that I was listening to were, I'll list those as well. So thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for showing up. Of course, thank you to our community partners that help make all of this possible. And we'll see you next time.